Now, effective communication with Phil Zeller, CEO, Dale Carnegie, Southwest Michigan.
Have you ever stuck your foot in your mouth? The proverbial, oh my gosh, I just stuck my foot in my mouth. How embarrassing. Why did I say that? Oh no. I think we've all been there before. We don't want to be. There's got to be a way to be out of that situation. So there I was, and my producer is going to appreciate this as he's working on his home renovations right now as we speak. Years ago, I was working on renovations of my own home, and I was getting ready when my son was about to be born, my first son. And we wanted to do renovations. We had to make the house bigger. It was either go buy a new home because a new baby's coming, or work on the house and make it bigger. And I chose the latter to make the house bigger. So my wife and we blew out the back wall in the house and blew out the back of the garage and extended our house backwards into the backyard. And as we're doing all this work, we're both still working full time. We're both getting ready for a baby to come. We've got all these obligations to do, and we're in the midst of making this all happen. We got plastic on the back of our house. and we're overseeing this stuff, and I had a friend of mine that was helping me to be my own general contractor going through this process. So, think of the fact that you can save a little money, but a lot of time invested, and a lot of time went into a lot of communication. And communication is the key. I tell you what, you're listening to the right show on effective communication, because I would have never made it through that renovation project if I didn't know how to communicate, because there was so much to learn and so many moving parts of renovating and putting a huge addition on your house. And that's where we were at. In the midst of doing all that, the project kind of took a lot longer. Well, it took a lot longer. I was doing it right. And I don't do this full time for a living. So I do this right here, what I'm doing with you, effective communication. I help people all day long, but building houses is not something I do for a living, but it's something I'm willing to try. And hey, my dad said if another person can do it, you can do it too. So I'm always willing to try, right? Can't tell you it's going to be perfect, but I'll come out and I'll do my best at it. And so we're working on this renovation on the house, and as we're working on it, it starts to get delayed and delayed and delayed. And if you've been through a construction project before, delays are going to happen. And there's different reasons why. Maybe it's you, maybe it's a contractor, maybe it's a subcontractor, maybe you can't get the materials, maybe it's whatever. But this project kept getting delayed out. And one day I came home, and my backyard, because this project been delayed for quite a while, my backyard was all torn up with construction vehicles that had been in and out of there, and there's weeds everywhere in the middle of my neighborhood. And all of a sudden, I see this post in front of my house with this big fluorescent colored sticker on it. Said, "You're in violation of ordinance blah 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 blah, and you are going to be fined and da 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 if you don't fix your lawn and da da da." So I get this violation notice that my backyard is a mess, and my neighbor happened to be outside when I pulled in and saw this, and I pulled it out of the ground. I'm looking at it, and I'm a little frustrated now. You got so much going on in your life, and you're trying to make it all work, right? And you get a little frustrated. So I turned to my neighbor and I said, can you believe this? Can you believe this? And he looks at me and goes, "What?" And I'm like, "Could you believe that somebody would report this and give me a hard time with what we're trying to do here to make this look better and improve this?" He's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm listening to myself. I'm thinking about, okay, this is when I stuck my foot in my mouth. Nobody wants to hear you complain. They really don't. They don't want to hear you complain. Nobody. Not your neighbor, not your significant other, not your kids, not your parents, not your siblings. Nobody. Not even your best friend. Let's be honest. They don't want to hear you complain. And my neighbors just kind of look at me, taking it in, thinking, okay, well, this isn't typical Phil. He must be having a bad day. But I'm looking at this huge fluorescent violation thing telling me with all these threats that I'm going to have to pay fines and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't they call me? Why didn't they talk to me? Why can't we do this like civil people? Why do we just have to threaten people? And, that's just the way the system works. Well, in my book, the system probably could be better. That's why I work with a lot of politicians to try to make the system better. But in this situation, I was embarrassed. And I was embarrassed because I stuck my foot in my mouth. I shouldn't have gotten so upset over this thing. what I did was I stopped, I thought about it, went back, got the facts, and I went back and then later apologized to my neighbor because he didn't have to hear that, right? He didn't have to hear me getting frustrated over this. So don't put your foot in your mouth. There's a better way. Get all the facts. Get all the facts in a situation. And when you get all the facts, weigh all the facts and come to a decision. And once you make that decision, act on that decision. It's a very simple process. But before you get mad, before you get angry, before you criticize, before you complain, get all the facts. And so you don't have to be embarrassed. When you get the facts, you weigh the facts, and once you find the decision, you act on it. And then you never got to be embarrassed. There you go, my friends. No embarrassment today. You got this. Now go make it happen.